Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Jordan, also known as JMonster. Welcome back to another Silmarillion Total War battle. I know I said in the last video I don't usually cover 1v1s, but I happen to have another really good one for you today. I will cover some larger games in the relatively near future. I do have some 2v2s, some 3v3s. I think I've got a 3v5, quite a few battles, actually. We've been having them relatively regularly on the Discord, and if this is something that you guys want to get involved with, you can always follow the link down in the description of all of my videos, and you will find the Silmarillion Discord. Yeah, in any case, let's take a look. We have Rex and Panthan facing off again today. Last time, Rex had a relatively narrow defeat, but still pretty strong in terms of forces left for Panthan. So let's see if maybe he can get a little bit of redemption for that today. We'll see if the Avari, who he happens to be playing, are going to have any nasty surprises waiting for the orcs of Dungortheb. So Panthan's got a very, I would say, a little bit different army for Nan, at least different from the way that I like to play them. I usually like to lean really heavily into their monsters and elephants and things like that. But he's gone for a little bit more of a numbers build, which maybe is a bit of a... I'm not sure that 2 videos can really constitute a trend, but certainly if that continues, yeah, we could say maybe he's got a bit of a trend towards playing these kind of larger, more like moving pieces and therefore more flexible kind of army. But in any case, let's take a look at what he's got. He's got some Beast Hunters going to be out in front. Now, a lot of the Nan units will require a little bit of explanation because there's some things about them that aren't necessarily visually accessible. The Beast Hunters, as their name would suggest, are quite good at hunting beasts. They're very good at fighting cavalry. Well, reasonably good at fighting cavalry. Most Dungortheb orc units have very low melee defense, but quite high damage, higher than average morale traits, and they have the best fatigue traits on par with the elves, which is a little bit interesting. So they're able to run and move and shoot, just generally be a little bit more of a nuisance than the other orcish units, but they do have very poor morale response, being a band of unwashed savages. But the Beast Hunters are pretty good at fighting cavalry. They do have some strong bonuses against cavalry. I think they have some against elephants as well. And they've also got some poison arrows, which is going to be very, very valuable in the new patch because we finally got those morale debuff effects working properly. So poison is going to very obviously and immediately hit the morale of whatever you happen to target with it, and that can be extremely, extremely useful against the Avari, who also don't have amazing morale shock response traits. So looks like we've got 1, 2, I would wager there's probably a third around here, units of Beast Hunters. It's going to also have some Skull Splitters here as well. They are more of a shock infantry unit. They've got a really high charge value, and they also have some throwing axes that they can toss. Only 2 though, so they get rid of them relatively quickly, and you can throw them into melee combat. We've also got some Predators here as well. These are going to be harassment javelins. There is a whole lot of them, and they are relatively cheap, and they've also got really strong attack values. Again, as with most of the Dungortheb infantry, in terms of pure attack, they are able to punch up a little bit more than their, paltry 300 to 600 gold price tags would suggest. That being said, they often don't have the best armor, or more importantly, melee defense. So it is quite easy to fell these wild savages. However, they make up for that in numbers and volume of fire. Got some more Beast Hunters. See, I knew there was going to be more. We've got 2 there, and then I think a 4th unit rather sitting back here. So a whole bunch of skirmish. More Skull Splitters hanging out in the back. I know we've got 2 of the Flesh Feasters for sure, and a couple. I believe there's 2 units of Troll Bloods. Yes, indeed, these are the new Berserker units. Very interesting, can be a little bit finicky. There is a surprising amount of counterplay to them, especially if you can stop them from getting off a charge. You can stop them from actually being able to enter their Berserk state in the first place. Morale shocks, very severe morale shocks, will snap them out of their Berserker state, and they can also be baited across the map once they lose control. So it's an interesting unit. Potential for damage is extremely high. You want to be very cautious with the way that you approach these guys, because, yeah, they can cut holes through your lines like you wouldn't believe. They get area attacks, the same as elephants do, once they go into their Berserker state, and they have multiple HP, but in fitting with the theme of being a Berserker and with Dungortheb more generally, they are pretty low on the defense side of things. And they also don't have armor piercing. That's to be noted, but Berserker State does increase their attack to a point where it kind of almost doesn't matter anyways. Moving on back here, we've got some Dusmanuthan Flesh Feasters. This is the bodyguard tier equivalent and the only heavy infantry that Dungortheb can field. They are able to be routed. They don't have the greatest morale, but they do have really strong attack and charge stats, and they're only 1 HP. But they do have, in addition to all of that, Relentless, which makes them extremely adept at grinding their way through chaff, such as the Avari. The Avari have a lot of great targets for these Dusmanuthan Flesh Feasters to be thrown at and to get a ton of value. So we'll see how Panthan is able to use them today. More Predators hanging out here. And we got the little front line of Karangwi Goreswarm. Now, another little interesting utility unit that whose uses are perhaps deceptive. They're excellent cannon fodder. In fact, that's how most people tend to use them. That's why you're going to see them out here on the front line. Nice little ambush troops. They can also do a surprising amount of damage to cavalry, and they do have some armor piercing in addition to all of that, just to give them a little bit of extra figurative and literal bite. So yeah, something that you don't want to get your expensive cavalry units enmeshed in for an extended period of time, at least not if you're cycle charging. Overall, though, they're actually so cheap that, in fact, they are free. The first unit is free, and then they go up afterwards. Usually I see people bring about 2 to 3 to them, but they really help add to that kind of swarmy, disgusting alien feel, and in addition to all of that, also bring the utility that I just outlined for you. Now, why is this a little bit of a different army? Well, we don't have as many of the monsters. Now, there's some hidden troops around here. Actually, yeah, here we go. Got a couple units of the Dusmanuthan Hunting Pack. A nice little anti-cavalry tool. They do have a decent enough charge, and being an elephant unit, they have some area attacks. But against the Avari, little bit of a different pick. I probably would have gone a different way, but they can be extremely powerful when used in a flanking situation or when preying upon lower melee defense and lower armor units and armies and so forth. And when, obviously getting those flanking and rear attacks, that can be extremely useful. I know he's got somewhere a unit or 2 of the Devourers of Children. Yes, they are. A beautiful model that we actually imported from Botat. I believe it uses some sort of horrible troll, or rather ogre unit. An extremely divisive unit. It's one that can be very, very strong. They do have some armor piercing. They have a weakness to cavalry, and they are able to actually hide, unlike a lot of other troll units. They have decent enough morale, but they don't have great morale response traits. So shocks can send them running for the hills. That being said, they are quick enough that they can usually disengage and then come back and be thrown in for a second or third round of combat, and they are also multiple HP. They have a ton of HP, but strangely enough, one of the better ways to deal with this unit is to simply make it run away. And that, as a Dungortheb commander, you need to be certainly aware of. This unit needs to be used in support of other things, or when preying upon stationary cavalry units and things like that that aren't necessarily going to see it coming and aren't nimble enough to get out of the way before it smashes into them. So, pretty big Orcish army. It's actually enormous. Let's go ahead here and pause it and see what the Avari player has brought to bear today. As I mentioned, is being played by Captain Rex Gervais. He's brought some Stone Hewers, or a nice little axe unit, and therefore pretty decent at chaff grinding. And they're going to be backed up with an even better axe unit, the bodyguard tier Shades of the Guarded Path. I don't know if his general's bodyguard is going to be in this unit, but I think he has a second one somewhere that it will be hanging out in. I got some Bow Wards of the Darkling Woods, and it's worth noting that the Avari actually have a lot of monster hunting tools. They also have some really strong anti-armor options. We're going to talk about those as we go through them and as they appear. But the Avari, yeah, they're relatively well suited to fighting Dungortheb, with the exception of one fatal flaw. As you probably have guessed, they are all extremely lightly armored, and Dungortheb could bring an absolute tubload of missile units. So that's going to be a big thing for Rex to watch out for in this game. He's going to need to, when it's time to commit, it's time to commit hard, and you want to avoid blobs because the Dungortheb archers and those harassment javelins are really, really going to punish that. And the Avari don't have the most amazing numbers in the world. They're a little bit more mid, possibly on the lower side for that sort of thing, given the amount of high tiers that they need to be functional in the field. So, yeah, big, big danger for sure. More Stone Hewers actually have the legendary company here, the Host of the Withered Ash. One of the few legendary companies that you can, in fact, bring 2 of. They're going to be Loch Morale Spearman. I believe he's only got 1, and they're going to be occupying sort of the place of pride in the army as being the center anchor for everything else around them. Now, this is one of the units that, again, a little bit more deceptive. The Thorncasters are a harassment javelin unit. They are medium, sort of medium infantry, and they've got some really strong bonuses against missile. They sort of have like a bark skin passive trait that makes them a little bit more resistant to missiles in the form of a passive shield bonus. In the new patch, they also have been given the mace profile to allow the Avari to more readily address heavily armored foes. Something they really struggled against was, say, Angband and Feanor and things like that. So now they have some fairly easily and readily available options to deal with armor. So really strong unit. It is relatively expensive and can be cut to pieces by the right units for sure. Missile units can be a big problem for it, and also heavier high-end infantry with really good melee defense values can be a problem for them as well. We're going to have 3 of them on the field today. More Stone Hewers and another unit here of the Shades, and this is actually going to be where the general's hanging out today. Now, he does have some hidden units, so you're going to see them a little bit later. He's got at least 1, possibly 2 units of the Rangers of the Guarded Path, which are an exceptionally good monster hunting unit. I can understand why he would want to bring those, given the nature of Nan, although it's a little bit more, as I mentioned, a little bit more of a different composition than what you normally see from Nan players, certainly the way I like to play them. And he's also got some Thorn Ancients, I believe 2 units thereof, and 2 units of Gloom Hunters, who are another anti-monster, relentless, armor-piercing tool. So the Avari have a really nice niche when it comes to dealing with armor now, which is something that they very much did not have in the past, outside of a few exceptional units and some missiles. So kind of an important thing to bear in mind when facing the Avari moving forward. Obviously, this composition has been tooled towards fighting monsters, and there's not a lot of monsters on the field today. So we'll see if he's able to kind of squeeze those niches into a little bit more of a general purpose rule. And yeah, for sure, he's going to need to be very wary of the missile capacity of Nan Dungortheb. 4 units of archers, absolutely devastating. You can see them up on a hill here with a little bit of extra elevation is going to allow him to take some pot shots at these poor little Balwards, and they are going to fall like so many leaves under that brutal bombardment. Those poison arrows you can see affecting their morale, and taking quite a lot of them down with them. Let's see, about 2% of Rex's army has been killed here in those opening volleys, so not off to a great start here, but it seems like he's kind of taking position up on this hill, and I can understand why he would do that. It does force Panthan to do certain things like this, where he has to sort of reset where some of his units are, reposition them to a better place, so they're not just going to be immediately outflanked and surrounded. And it does give away the game a little bit, and let Rex know that of course there is going to be that expendable front line here of Karenga Goreswarm, and if they're there, they're probably also out in front here where these archers are as well. So Rex just searching for a little bit of information and probably not wanting to charge directly into the teeth of things here. And if you look at it, he's actually given himself a nice little hill, essentially, to fight down. Now, it does change in certain areas, and that's not going to hold true for this entire patch of ground, but it is a nice little positioning quirk that you can see Rex is doing. And so now another unit here of Goreswarm is going to have to be moved. So Rex knows that there's at least 2 on the field, probably more like, maybe 3 or 4. Now those Avari units taking up position here in the forest, which not a bad place for Wood Elves to be. They obviously get a ton of bonuses in forested terrain. Not too much of that out here in the open, so maybe they're going to try and pull them forward, but I don't see how they're going to be able to do that. So I think Rex is probably setting himself up for a big charge here, just a general offensive to try and smash his way through the Nan Dungortheb position, which he's got enough units to do it for sure, and it doesn't seem like those hidden units have come out to play yet. And in fact, now that I think about it, I think there is actually a unit here of a very sneaky, potentially destructive unit. The first refusers, I believe they're also present in this army somewhere, but Rex may not be showing his hand yet. So yeah, he definitely knows that the little buggos are there, and just about anything could really crush their way through it. But the big problem is that they buy a lot of time for those archers to do their work. So again, when Rex commits, he needs to be sure that he's not just walking into a complete massacre, because it can turn that way very, very quickly when facing down an army like the one that Pantheon has brought today. All of those missiles, really very scary for the lightly armored Avari. Let's see here. Have these guys moved at all yet? Doesn't seem like it. I don't expect that we'll see the hunting pack actually doing anything until Rex begins to actually attack in to the Dungortheb position. It looks like that's going to happen right now. These poor battle wards. I think they've lost about almost 60 men. Certainly going to lose 60 after this brutal volley here. Oof, yeah. That Avari weakness to missiles, that complete aversion to all things ranged, really on display here. But even then, nice little charge into those Karangri Gore Swarm, and they're probably going to kill their way through that relatively quickly. Yeah, a nice little charge, but it seems like he's just kind of sussing out the position, seeing, you know, what is where, how many things there are. And Pantheon, I'm sure, is fine to just kind of let him move into this area. This also helps Rex, you know, suss out if there's any other hidden units over here. But little does he realize, Devourers of Children are waiting for him right here, and those Avari dogs who appear to be on the move, hunting pack, you know, coming out of their little shelter here in the woods, and moving, I would say, towards... Ooh, hard to say. Might even be a little bit early to bring them out here. I think a lot of Rex's units might either be hiding or... Yeah, some of them are probably hidden in the woods here. So it's hard to say, you know, what those dogs can really go for and be effective with. So the Thorncasters moving forward, probably to take a few pot shots at those Skull Splitters if they can. They've certainly got the range to do it, and now Pantheon is going to activate some of the Gore Swarm. Maybe move forward to try and tie them down. Hard to say. A little bit of focus fire going into the Thorncasters over on this end. And they've got decent armor, and they've got decent shield values from that passive bark skin bonus. But, you know, it doesn't really matter. As I mentioned in the previous video, I mean, it does matter, but as I mentioned in the previous video, the archer units have been made just that much more deadly, and you can see that that heavier armor is not full protection here, especially when they turn around like that and no longer get that nice little bonus. So the unit of dogs here out has come out to play. I think the other one... Nope, they're still sitting there. So Pantheon just slowly revealing his hand, moving his dogs into position. Maybe he's confident that Rex isn't going to see them, but there's not really a whole lot going on right now. So I'm almost positive that Rex has seen those, and he's going to take appropriate action. So it seems like the dogs maybe found... Aha! They found some Rangers here. Now the Rangers are going to be able to draw first blood. Oh, that's going to hurt. And they've got a lot of melee defense being dagger units, so they are going to take that charge from the front relatively well. Yeah, they're going to take it on the chin. It's going to be no problem. Some of the Rangers will, of course, fall in this fight, but this is where a second unit of those dogs would have been extremely helpful. Yeah, those Rangers are going down, and I think the hunting pack here are going to be forced to flee, and the Rangers might be able to toss another volley as they run away. So that is really going to be unfortunate for him. Some of the shades have been brought out of the woods to drive off those doggos as well. One poor doggo going to get picked. The goodest boy down for the count. Sad face. Oh, a second one going down as well. Now those hunting pack are just not having a good time, and that's going to force Pantheon to bring out the other one, which he probably should have done in the first place, but he had no idea that unit was there. So, you know, hindsight being 20/20 and all that. Let's pop back over here and see what's happening. Seems like the Battle Wards on their own are not going to be able to cut their way through the Garangli Gore Swarm. Their offensive having stalled here a little bit. It seems like maybe, yeah, this is the moment. Rex is going to just have a general offensive here, going to smash into these Garangli Gore Swarm, who mercifully are going to give Panthan a little bit of time to get his ducks in a row. Host of the Withered Ash and all kinds of other nasty things coming in here. They're going to be able to cut their way through the Gore Swarm with relative ease, but as I mentioned, it's going to give him a little bit of time. Their demise will buy him just that extra bit of time, and now the Skull Splitter is going to be able to be thrown in there against the Axemen. A little bit of an anemic charge. Probably should have been brought just a touch closer. And now those missiles are going to start raining down from the sky like a cloud of stinging mosquitoes. And they're going to fell quite a lot of these poor Avari units. And they're going to focus mostly on the Thorncasters. A brutal rear volley here. Take out about 10% of the unit in just a single volley. Very impressive indeed. More dogs coming in. Looks like Panthan isn't just going to let everything be committed. He's going to try and throw some of these dogs in here. And you know what? He's got 2 units of those hounds and 2 units of very valuable, important infantry. The Rex, I'm sure, would love to have on his front line. So if he's able to throw them both in all at the same time, that would be amazing. But it seems like a bit of a miss micro here, perhaps. And those Rangers of the Hidden Path are going to be able to recover, maybe even toss off a volley. And these Hunting Pack units are going to go elsewhere. They're going to get taken down by those Thorncasters. Yaha! I knew they were here. The first Refusers now out and about, and it seems like the Devourers of Children sprang out. Looks like they maybe got themselves into a bit of a fight here, and a fight that they didn't want to take alone. And I think these Axe units were able to throw them back, because they have retreated behind the lines. We're definitely going to see them reform. Indeed, they already have. Oh, gross. Trollbloods in here, they're going to have no problem cutting their way through, especially not with the support of the Flesh Feasters. Rex has to do something here seriously soon, or these 2 crazed Orcish Berserker units are going to be able to just hack their way through those Elven warriors. Now, let's see where he's going with this. Oh, yes. The fart bombs coming in. Doesn't take very long. And it's quite indiscriminate, so you will see it kill some of the Host of the Withered Ash as well. And then you can see it start to tick ever so slowly. The more time you spend in this cloud, the more damage it is going to do to you. And it is instant death, so if this was a bodyguard unit, they'd be in a lot of trouble. So, not a bad idea. I probably would have thrown it at these guys here. I think that would have been a better thing to do. But Panthan is already on top of those Devourers of Children, having freshly rallied. They're going to be right on top of those first Refusers. Now, they will toss a few, so I think we're going to see maybe 1 or 2 of them get cooked here. Yep, there goes 1. It might just be the 1. So now 2 units of those Devourers on top of the first Refusers. Now, they are not pushovers. They can defend themselves. There's not nearly enough of them. And these Devourers do not mess around. They may be fragile, there may be limitations to how you can use them, but they hit extremely hard, and their charge is absolutely brutal. See those first Refusers being dragged down here. Nearly a third of them killed just moments after that charge. Very, very nicely done. And now I think we're going to see some of Rex's more hidden units come out of the trees here. Yes, indeed, the trees begin speaking Elvish, and you're going to see 4 units pour forth from this little copse here. 2 units of Thorned Ancients, 2 units of those Gloom Hunters, very nicely timed. He's kind of waited for Panthan to play his full hand. I think those dogs have all been killed off. There might be a few of them still back in here. Yeah, munching away on the Rangers, not doing too bad, getting about half of them. But Panthan's played his hand. He knows everything is out on the table now, and now is able to bring these in. And what can Panthan really do to stop them, especially these Thorn Ancients? If they're able to smash in, and it looks like indeed they are going to be able to smash into a lot of these Skull Splitters and these Duso-Manuthan units, who are all in a support role and doing very well, by the way. Like, he is way, way ahead at this point. Almost 20% ahead. Now, in most cases, you can't come back from that. Panthan is doing extremely well. He's smashed most of this Elven offensive. He's crushed the supporting troops that they brought forward and the first Refusers in a fight for their life here. And this is a very dangerous unit, so it's something that he definitely wants to take down. And indeed, he might be able to, but this is such a big deal. This whole sort of soft underbelly of the Dungortheb army is left wide, wide open as Panthan played his hand, perhaps a little bit too eagerly in hindsight. And now, that low melee defense, these Thorn Ancients, even with their unremarkable attack scores, are going to be able to whack their way through hundreds of these orcs. This is chaotic. This is an absolute catastrophe if not brought under control very, very quickly. And you'll notice the deployment as well. He went in with these Thorned Ancients who are not going to take any damage from most of these missiles, at least not until, like, 3 or 4 volleys, whereas these Gloom Hunters would get absolutely butchered. So very nicely done. Yeah, you saw that right there. 10% of that unit killed off almost immediately. Skull Splitters being thrown in here, but very, very nice and very clean way to bring these units into the battle. Now those Gloom Hunters getting absolutely pulverized because, of course, Rex doesn't have quite enough to lock down every single thing. But, yeah, this is starting to turn around a little bit. And if we look, it's still about 20%. Still about 20%. Meanwhile, over here, it looks like Pantheon has managed to smash his way through a lot of those Elven Elites. There were some Shades in there. They were backed up with a good amount of Stone Hewers, and now he's managed to push his way into the Avari skirmish line in turn. So a little bit of a trade, almost a base trade, if that makes sense to you in terms of the position of these two players. Thorncaster's not going to have a very good time against these guys. They do have, as I mentioned, the mace profile, so they can clap back. And they are able to do so. You can see some of the Deuce of Manuth and Flesh Feasters are actually falling in close quarters. That's going to tie them down for long enough, and who knows what's going to happen, especially once these trolls hack their way through the last of the... Oh no, they're into the first refusers now. This would be an excellent time to hightail these units out of here. And I think he will be able to save at least part of this unit, and he will pull some of these troll bloods away because, you have no control of them. And so they will chase down just the nearest enemy target, and that's exactly what they're going to do. So now those important Orcish units, instead of, smashing into some of these reinforcements, are now being led on a bit of a wild goose chase. Some more missile play coming back and forth here. I think the Rangers were brought up. Yes, indeed they were. Host of the Withered Ash doing their best, but they're actually being pressed by Berserkers as well. Although this unit of Berserkers I don't think is too long for this world. It makes complete sense for Rex to just sack what's left of the Host of the Withered Ash and just throw all the missile units that he can into those Troll Bloods. But Pantheon's going to have something to say about it. Flesh Feasters, another unit of them, charging their way into these Thorncasters, and they are just going to absolutely brutalize them. Especially, you can see some of those Poison Arrows coming in support as well. Bad news bears for Rex, as most of his skirmish line seems to have been eviscerated. That being said, he has held on to his general. You can see him right there, and he has held on to even a small unit of the first refusers. They are small, but they are mighty. And this unit, used at the right time, can be absolutely game-changing. Rangers of the Hidden Path, I think, going after the Berserkers, who have now dropped out of their Berserk state, and they're going to probably go for the Rangers. Oh, he might not even see them. Oh, absolutely brutal. They're going to try and get a charge off, maybe into the rear of the Thorncasters. I don't know, some indecision here, I think, going on the part of Pantheon. Oh, yeah, they see the first refusers. They definitely don't want to let them get away. Rex kind of dangling them in front of Pantheon, getting them to stick around just a little bit longer, and those Rangers, I think, are going to be able to kill off most of that unit. Yeah, those look like death throws. I don't think most of them are going to get back up. Oh, the General is in here! That could be terrible, terrible, terrible news for Rex. If his General goes down, that's bad news indeed. His General versus 3 Berserkers. Oh my goodness. Is he going to be able to save them there with a charge from those Rangers? Oh, man. That was a close call. I think maybe Rex will be able to hold on to his General for just a bit longer. Oh, that was so close. Moments from death. Just a couple of them left. Oh, I really need to know how this ends. Oh, smashing the General. Another one of them maybe went down. Okay, there goes another. I think Rex is going to save his General, but only barely. His 2 bodyguards really took that one for the team. Deuce Manuth and Flesh Feasters now, I think, being pulled back from the back lines. Probably he's managed to kill most of what Rex had that was still within arm's reach. And Pantheon's kind of forming a little bit of a pocket here. He's got some Skull Splitters, got some more Beast Hunters who looks like they still have some ammunition. I don't know what else he's got left. Some Beast Hunters in the back here. Looks like they've been charged by some Gloom Hunters. And those, yeah, these Thorned Ancients have just wreaked complete and utter havoc all across the back lines here. There was just enough committed on Panthan's front line that he wasn't able to just quickly and smoothly pull them back, especially when Rex still had some tempting targets like those first refusers. Kind of kept him committed for maybe longer than was healthy. And these poor Orcish units have just been smacked to death. More reinforcements pouring in from the Avari side. They were down 20% and they are crawling their way back. They are at the last 10% of their own forces, but they are now within striking distance of victory, essentially, if they can keep this up. That being said, he might have enough bodies to just kind of drown these isolated Thorn agents in a tide of Orcish tribesmen, but we will see. We got him back here, got some Thorn casters. Oh, still have a sizable amount of Thorn casters. And there goes his general. Oh, terrible news. Wasn't able to get him back from the front lines to the safety, relative safety anyway, of the little pocket he'd created for himself over here. I really want to know where those first refusers are, because they are still out there somewhere. We may never know. Let's get back to the action here. Thorn Ancients doing their best. I think he's got enough orcs here. Like, most of these orcs have like 12 and above attack. Should be enough, especially when surrounding these guys, to slowly cut them to pieces. Yeah, you see the Thorn Ancients now beginning to fall. And then brought forth a unit of Predators. Was using them, I think, to shoot the Gloom Hunters, and did a good job. They're mostly dead. But that is going to allow some of the Rangers and more of these Thorn Ancients, who are still at full capacity, to get on top of Panthan. And it's looking like, yeah, 6% difference here. I don't know if Panthan has the steam left to really pull this out. It seemed like it was going to be an easy win for a while there. Like I said, he was 20% ahead. That is huge. But Rex, with that surprise attack, really seems like he caught Panthan off guard, and he is whittling away at that advantage, and it is now almost nothing. He is 5% of being completely even in this fight. Those Flesh Feasters are not coming in to help. They're actually running in terror. These Predators not having a good time. More Thorncasters, more of the very heavily reduced Avari infantry charging in. And I don't think the Predators alone have what it takes to fight even these heavily reduced Elven troops. We managed to kill them. We've managed to kill a fair amount of them. Yeah, there goes another. And over here, I think Panthan has what it takes to kill this unit of Thorn Ancients. Well, maybe. Maybe not. Thorncasters now coming in. They're going to charge into the back of these Beast Hunters. And with the death of their general, I think that might be enough to send them into a panic. We're going to kick it back up to full speed here. The woods have come alive, and they are destroying what remains of Panthan's numerous Orcish horde. And still they're holding on. They're not doing bad. Now those Thorn Ancients are going down with the missile support, everything else. You can really see that, the quality of morale that they have here. They're really sticking around a lot longer than, say, the Angband orcs would have. And yeah, they killed nearly half of this unit, but that's going to be it for them, unfortunately, and the rest are going to start to run as well. Nearby routing troops really aren't great for great optics for the morale of your troops that are sticking around. Oof. Almost got these Thorn Ancients. They probably killed over half of them by the end of it there, but that's going to be it for Panthan. A real big reversal there, extremely unexpected. And Rex is going to have the opportunity to redeem himself for that prior loss. Take a look there at what Panthan was able to get done. As expected, those Beast Hunters, the missile units did really well. Predators, maybe not as much. Skull Splitters kind of just did okay. Devourers probably didn't make their cost back, but I think that they were used effectively, aside from that initial hiccup that probably killed off more than was reasonable. Flesh Feasters did well. Hunting Pack, kind of a dud. Might have been worth spending that on a Broodmother instead. I think that 2 of them is about the same cost as a Broodmother. Would have liked to see maybe 1 or 2 more monsters just to establish sort of a brick wall that the Avari have to kind of butt their heads against, which is what they're very good for. But yeah, very well played. On both sides, obviously Panthan had a very clear plan. He put it into action, but Rex, a little bit more of a patient hunter there, waited until Panthan had thrown everything he had at him, and then he threw in that kind of what turned out to be a death blow. So really well played on both sides. Hope you guys enjoyed this. My name is Jordan, also known as JMonster, and I will see you guys next time.